Welcome to House of Horrors, where true stories and unexplained events come alive. From the silent deserts of New Mexico, abandoned towns, and forgotten roads, these are real horror cases that still have no answers. Tonight's story is one of them. Before we begin, tell us in the comments where you are watching from, and what time it is there right now. Turn off the lights. Turn up the volume. And step inside the House of Horrors. There are places in New Mexico that aren't on any map. Places locals avoid at night, whisper about when no one else is around, and sometimes leave behind only memories of terror. Tonight, we explore one of those places, the Lopez house in Taos. A home abandoned for decades, yet alive in ways that defy explanation. What follows are the experiences of those who dared to step inside and live to tell the tale. The Lopez house in Taos. I first heard of the Lopez house from an old library book. The entry was simple: Lopez homestead, circa 1924, abandoned. That was all. No photos, no history, just the name and the location. October sunlight barely penetrated the dense pine forest as I drove down the gravel road that led to the house. Each crunch of my tires against loose stone echoed unnaturally. Shadows stretched long across the forest floor, turning familiar shapes into something ominous. And then I saw it. The house appeared as if it had sprouted from the landscape itself. Red paint peeled from warped wooden walls. Windows, dirty and cracked, reflected light in strange, jagged patterns. The porch sagged, groaning under its own weight. I parked my truck and stepped out. The air smelled of old wood, dust, and something metallic. Each step toward the porch sounded impossibly loud. The front door was ajar, inviting me in. I pushed it slowly, and a puff of dust drifted into the beam of my flashlight. Inside, the living room lay frozen in time. A broken clock stopped at 3:17, cobwebs hanging like silver curtains, and marks etched into the walls, strange symbols I didn't recognize. A whisper drifted from the staircase. Low, soft, unintelligible. Human-like. My heart began to pound as I approached the stairs. The whispering stopped. Upstairs, each room told a story of decay and abandonment. Footprints appeared in the dust, leading from the corner of the room straight into the wall. Then a door slammed somewhere down the hall, sharp, deliberate. The house had announced itself. And I was listening. Curiosity overpowered fear, and I made my way to the basement. Damp, metallic hair wrapped around me. Cobwebs brushed my face. Boxes and furniture were stacked haphazardly. In the center, a circle of burned candles, old photographs, and symbols drawn in ash. The whispering returned, louder, almost intelligible: leave. Or stay. Upstairs, the air grew heavier, oppressive. Rooms seemed to shift. Footprints appeared, then vanished. Shadows moved against the beam of my flashlight. I discovered a hidden journal tucked behind rotting bookshelves. It belonged to a previous resident, a child named Rosa Lopez. Her entries were filled with fear, writing about someone watching from the walls, voices in the dark, and shadows moving when no one was there. The last entry ended mid-sentence: "They know I see them." By now, the sun had dipped below the horizon. The house seemed alive. Every floorboard groaned, every draft, every shadow felt like a warning. I realized the whispers weren't just sounds, they were deliberate, almost intelligent. I stayed until nightfall, documenting everything. Candles flickered though there was no draft, doors creaked open, and windows rattled as if something were walking along the perimeter. At midnight, the temperature dropped sharply. Frost formed on the inside of the windows. A shadow appeared at the second-floor window, tall and human-shaped, staring at me. My chest tightened. I ran to the front door. It was locked from the inside. I forced it open and stumbled onto the porch. Looking back, the window was empty, yet I could feel eyes on me. Heart racing, I sprinted to my truck, tires crunching over gravel, not daring to look back. Even weeks later, the house haunted my dreams. Whispers at night, cold spots in empty rooms, shadows just out of sight. Some places aren't abandoned at all. They're waiting. The Lopez house still stands in Taos, silent and red, a warning to anyone foolish enough to approach. Some doors are better left unopened. Some houses, better left alone. The Martinez homestead, northern New Mexico. Tonight, we enter the Martinez homestead. What you're about to hear is not legend, it's the account of someone who dared to explore and lived to tell it. The dirt road to the homestead was narrow, winding through thick stands of aspen and ponderosa pine. Fall had turned the leaves to fire, gold, orange, red, yet something about the colors felt unnatural, too vivid, almost surreal. I parked at the edge of the property. The ranch lay in a small clearing, surrounded by overgrown fields. The main house leaned slightly to one side, the roof sagging as if it were breathing. Paint had flaked away long ago, leaving streaks of weathered wood in its place. Windows were cracked, some missing entirely, giving the appearance of hollow eyes staring from the darkness within. A broken windmill creaked in the wind. Fences leaned or had collapsed entirely. The air was thick with decay and the faint tang of iron. I stepped onto the porch. Every board groaned under my weight. A loose shutter swung in the wind, tapping rhythmically against the wall. I pulled out my flashlight. The beam cut through the dusk, revealing dust-covered furniture inside. Inside, the air was cold, dry, and heavy. The remnants of a family's life lay scattered, a rocking chair frozen mid-swing, a table set as though someone had left dinner unfinished, a child's toy partially buried under debris. Then I heard it, a whisper. Soft, distant, like someone murmuring just beyond comprehension. I froze. The house was otherwise silent. No wind, no animals. Just that low, deliberate whisper. I made my way upstairs, each step creaking underfoot. The second floor was a hallway lined with doors, some hanging on broken hinges. Each room told its own story. One had a bed with the mattress collapsed into a heap, another had a dresser with drawers pulled out, empty but for dust. Then I found a door I hadn't noticed before, half hidden behind a curtain of cobwebs. It led to a small room, barely larger than a closet. Inside, the air was colder still. The walls were covered with strange etchings, names, dates, and symbols I didn't recognize. Some were recent, the scratches were fresh enough that dust had not yet settled. As I stepped closer, a floorboard creaked behind me. I spun around. Nothing. But the whispering grew louder, closer. I could make out fragments of words. Leave. Don't look. Stay. I backed toward the door and realized the house was changing. Shadows seemed to stretch and shift, forming shapes that weren't mine. The walls pulsed subtly, almost breathing. In the corner of the room lay a small wooden box, locked but fragile. I pried it open. Inside were photographs, yellowed and curling, a family, smiling, children playing in the yard, a man and woman holding hands. But in each, if you looked carefully, there were shadows, dark, misshapen, in places they shouldn't be. Figures in doorways, behind windows, always watching. The whispers crescendoed suddenly, then stopped. Silence. Total silence. And yet, I felt eyes on me from every corner of the house. As darkness fell, the house became alive. The wind picked up outside, rattling windows, but inside, it was warmer in a terrifying way. Shadows moved independently of the light. Floorboards groaned as if someone, or something, was pacing above me. I decided to leave. The front door, once easy to open, now resisted, as if the house itself were holding me inside. I pulled, kicked, and finally, it swung open with a screech that echoed across the empty fields. I ran to my truck. Gravel crunched beneath my boots. And then I saw it. At the edge of the clearing, a figure, tall, indistinct, watching me. Its face was obscured, but its presence was undeniable. My chest tightened. Every instinct screamed to look away, to drive, to escape. I jumped into my truck and started the engine. Headlights cut through the dusk. The figure was gone. I scanned the field, the tree line, the windows of the house. Nothing. Even now, when I close my eyes, I see the porch swing rocking slowly, the shadowed windows, and feel the whispering brushing against my mind. The Martinez homestead still waits at the edge of the forest, for anyone foolish enough to approach. Studio microphone emoji, invisible pause. Some places remember you. Some places never forget. The ghost of the Cerrillos mining house. I grew up hearing stories about Cerrillos, New Mexico. Not the tourist version. Not the art galleries or the gift shops that popped up later. I mean the older stories. The ones locals told quietly. The ones that always ended with someone saying, "Don't go up there after dark." Cerrillos used to be a mining town. Coal. Turquoise. Hard work and early deaths. When the mine shut down, people left fast. Some houses were packed up properly. Others were simply locked and abandoned, left exactly as they were when the money dried up. I moved to Santa Fe in my early 30s for work. Affordable housing was tight, and I didn't mind driving. A coworker mentioned a cheap rental opportunity near Cerrillos. Not officially listed. Just a caretaker arrangement. Old mining property, he said. Family owns the land. They just want someone to keep an eye on it. That should have been my first warning. The house sat on the edge of a low hill, about a mile outside the main town. A dirt road led up to it, narrow and rutted. The building itself was small, single-story, wood-frame construction with a sagging porch and a rusted tin roof. It didn't look haunted. It looked tired. The owner, a man in his late 60s, met me there in the afternoon. He unlocked the door and let me look around. The inside smelled like dust and old wood. Furniture was sparse. A table. 2 chairs. A narrow bed frame. No personal items. This was my grandfather's place, he said. He worked the mine down the hill. I asked when someone last lived there. He hesitated. Early 80s, he said finally. The rent was cheap. Almost suspiciously cheap. I took it. The first week was quiet. Peaceful, even. No cell service. No nearby neighbors. Nights were dark in a way city people forget exists. The stars felt close enough to touch. But there were small things. The back door would be unlatched in the morning, even though I knew I'd locked it. I blamed the old frame. Temperature changes. Warping wood. At night, I sometimes heard footsteps on the porch. Slow. Heavy. Like work boots. The first time it happened, I froze in bed, listening. The steps crossed the porch, stopped near the front door, then faded. I didn't hear the door open. The second time, I grabbed a flashlight and opened the door myself. The porch was empty. No footprints. No sound. Just wind moving through scrub brush. I told myself it was animals. Coyotes. Maybe a stray dog. Then I started noticing the dust. The house was always dusty. That wasn't strange. What was strange was how the dust moved. Every morning, there were footprints on the floor. Not shoe prints. Bare footprints. They started near the back wall of the house, the side closest to the old mine road, and ended near the bedroom doorway. Never inside the bedroom. Always stopping just short. I tried cleaning them. Sweeping. Mopping. They came back. Always the same size. Adult. Long toes. The left foot slightly turned inward. I asked the owner about it when he stopped by to drop off mail. He looked at the floor longer than necessary. Old place, he said. Settles at night. He didn't meet my eyes. That night, I dreamed of the mine. I was standing at the mouth of it, looking down into darkness. I could hear breathing below me. Slow. Strained. Like someone trying not to panic. I woke up with the sound still in my ears. After that, the house changed. The air felt heavier. Not humid. Just dense. Like breathing through cloth. The smell of coal dust would come and go without warning. One evening, I came home to find the table set. 2 plates. 2 cups. I lived alone. I stood in the doorway, staring at it, heart pounding. The plates were old enamel ones I'd found in a cabinet but never used. The cups were filled with water. Fresh. No dust on the surface. I didn't eat that night. I slept in my truck. The next morning, everything was back where it belonged. Table empty. Cups dry. Plates stacked. I told myself I was stressed. Overworked. Letting the isolation get to me. Then the knocking started. Not on the door. On the walls. 3 slow knocks. Always from the same place. The wall behind the bed. Knock. 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 Never repeated. Never answered. Just enough to let me know it wasn't accidental. I started researching the property. Old records weren't easy to find, but the town library had archived newspapers on microfilm. It took hours. Then I found it. A short article from 1912. A mine collapse. 2 men trapped. Rescue efforts unsuccessful. The tunnel sealed. One of the men was named Elias Herrera. The address listed for his residence matched the house I was living in. Another article followed a week later. It mentioned that Herrera's body was never recovered. The family was denied entry to the sealed shaft. Unsafe conditions. The article ended with a line that stuck with me. His wife reports hearing him return home at night, though no one is there. I stopped sleeping in the house after that. I packed my things during the day. Moved fast. Avoided looking at the walls. Avoided the back of the house entirely. On my last night, I went back one final time to grab a toolbox I'd forgotten. The sun was setting. The house looked darker than usual, shadows clinging to the porch. Inside, the air was cold. The toolbox was in the bedroom. As I reached for it, I heard breathing. Right behind me. Not imagined. Not distant. Close. I turned slowly. There was a man standing in the doorway. Not transparent. Not glowing. Solid. Coal dust blackened his skin. His clothes were torn, old-fashioned work clothes. His chest moved with each breath, shallow and labored. His feet were bare. His left foot turned inward. He looked exhausted. Not angry. Not threatening. Just tired. He opened his mouth. And I smelled earth. Wet stone. Collapse. "I didn't finish my shift," he said. The words weren't loud. They felt pressed directly into my head. I came home. I dropped the toolbox and ran. I didn't look back. I didn't stop until I reached the highway. The owner called me the next day. Said he understood. Said it wasn't the first time. The house is still there. Empty again. If you drive past Cerrillos at night and see a porch light glowing where no one lives, don't stop. Some miners never made it out. And some of them are still trying to go home. So guys, thanks for watching House of Horrors. If you enjoyed this descent into darkness, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell, so you never miss another nightmare. Signing off.